Floyd Mayweather is known as TBE, the best fighter ever.
I plan on stealing the show every time.
It was billed as the mega fight of all mega fights, a pipe dream many believe was too far-fetched to come true. But it happened. On August 26, 2017, Floyd Money Mayweather took on the notorious Conor McGregor in one of the most hyped combat sports moments of all time. But how did it happen? What possessed the stars of two different sports to set foot in the same ring? And when they did it live up to that hype? 1 year later, let's take a look back. The idea started with a rumor. Would Floyd Mayweather Jr., boxing's undefeated, undisputed, pound-for-pound champion, and Conor McGregor, MMA's biggest and most successful star, entertain the idea of a real-life fight?
I don't know if it's going to happen. If it do, it do. If it don't, it don't. They asked me about this fight always.
There were rumblings here and there, often shot down. It was too ridiculous. It was basically fan fiction. And remember when McGregor retired from the sport? That certainly didn't help momentum. The boxing community scoffed at the notion. So did MMA patriarch Dana White. In short, the talk between the two larger-than-life figures seemed like it was just that. All talk.
He needs me. If he wants to talk, we can talk. But it's me who's in control here.
Sure enough, there were too many hurdles. Where do they fight? What weight are the gloves? What weight are the fighters? Who makes how much? What happens to the fighters' titles in sports while they prepare? Could these massive personalities put aside their egos?
If Conor McGregor really wants the fight to happen, stop blowing smoke up everybody. Sign a paper. Sign a paper. You said you a boss, just sign a paper and let's make it happen.
I am boxing. This couldn't happen. It would never happen. But after months and months of kicking the tires on the idea, the fight was on. Oh yeah, it happened. The money fight brought with it fans from two different sports. And before too long, the eyes of the world. Sure, it was about the money. Money was even in the name. Thanks to a publicity tour unlike any other, no one would blame you for calling it a circus.
This is the Mayweather-McGregor World Tour.
He's in a tracksuit. He can't even afford a shoe anymore. He is
I ain't back down for no
1, 2, 3, the Mayweathers.
In August 26th, I'm gonna knock this out too. Let me show you what a $100 million fighter look like.
What are you doing with a school bag on stage? You can't even read. You do something with that flag, I'll you up on this stage.
But the masses didn't care. And the night of the fight, it was impossible to ignore. Do you remember the actual fight? Let's back up a second. Do you remember how it started?
The UFC Fight Pass was having an issue. Showtime, their online stream, is also down. There's a whole bunch of carriers now that are having issues. This is a major, major issue.
When the fight finally got underway, you couldn't help but think McGregor had a chance. Coming on strong to open the first round, delivering a flurry of punches as the aggressor, at least to the average viewer. Inevitably, Floyd did what he does best and outlasted the initial burst from McGregor to counter with his own sequences of haymakers that led to a 10th round TKO. Just like that, the fight was over. Very few who watched could say they left disappointed.
I thought it was awesome. First off, it's the first time in a long time I've seen Floyd Mayweather in a fist fight. He was out there. He was getting tested.
He had to go there and be the Rock. He had to push the fight, push the envelope, make the fight, and knock this guy out. Made for a good fight.
I made him fight. He usually doesn't fight, so I made him come and fight. But look, nothing but respect to him. He came and he fought, and you've got to give respect to that.
I know that I just want to go out with a bang, get the fans what they wanted to see. The fans wanted to see blood, sweat, and tears. I didn't want to get the fans a boring fight.
He's just an experienced in that ring, and fair play to him. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed every second of it. I love a good fight.
It seems like
a good fight.
Conor McGregor, again, he did a good showing. He put forth a good showing for himself. But let's not get carried away. Take your behind back to the UFC. Play in that sport. That's your lane. Stay there. This is not for him.
But the echoes of that fight didn't stop at the final bell. In fact, the ramifications of what happened that night in Las Vegas continue to resonate. First, not everyone thought it was an entertaining match. Oscar De La Hoya called it a, quote, fraud. Others went further.
A slickly orchestrated long con that reached into your wallet for $100.
Tell us what you really think.
That's what I said.
McGregor forced He forced a gourmet chef to be a fast order cook. That's what he did. He forced a gourmet chef to be a guy.
But doesn't that make it fast food? I mean, use your analogy.
It does.
Doesn't that make it fast food?
That's
Instead
exactly
of a la
what it
carte
does.
steak? I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Think what you want, but you can't say it didn't deliver in terms of eyeballs. It brought in 6.7 million pay-per-view buys worldwide, according to Dana White, and a $55 million live gate. The fighters, Mayweather earned a guaranteed purse of $100 million. McGregor took home $30 million. The sports books, $65 million was reportedly wagered, the most ever for a boxing match. After that event, it appeared the fighters would go their separate ways. For Mayweather, it was the end of the road.
Your name is money. And obviously that validates it. Are you sure that if somebody else can't come with another non-figure? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Another non-figure?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please.
I've tried 3 times.
Just please.
Okay.
Please.
I think he did great tonight. I don't think there's anything else left to prove. I would rather he fight mixed martial arts.
The smoke would clear from that weekend. Life would go on. Floyd even played some charity basketball the next day. But McGregor, his whirlwind continued. At first, by refusing to rule out a return to the ring. McGregor once said, "I thought boxing was where the money was at." Soon a fight with Paulie Malignaggi, the man who sparred with him ahead of the Mayweather bout, started gaining traction. So did wild rumors of a massive payday against Canelo Alvarez, but none would crystallize. The inevitable talk of a rematch with Floyd came next, and in March of 2018, there was a bombshell. Mayweather announced he had been contacted by UFC to fight the Notorious One, this time inside the octagon.
2018, Floyd Money Mayweather, MMA. What are the odds, Patty? What are the odds?
While the thoughts of Conor getting into a ring seemed ludicrous, Mayweather getting into a cage seemed downright insane. Eventually, like all the others, those talks would recede. In the rest of 2018, Mayweather has kept a low profile, keeping busy with his business and real estate interests. Meanwhile, Dana White and all of MMA waited for the return of Conor. To say he was missed by UFC is a huge understatement. McGregor was a pay-per-view buy machine, with his fights versus Nate Diaz taking the number 1 and number 2 spots in UFC's history, with 1.65 and 1.6 million. While McGregor had been gone, he had not been forgotten. A social media sensation, his posts regularly made the news cycle. Running with the A-list, sitting pitchside at the World Cup final, and well, while I said he wasn't in the octagon, he did make an appearance at a UFC event. This incident was ahead of UFC 223 in Brooklyn on April the 7th. Several fighters on the bus were injured, causing 3 fights to be pulled from the card. McGregor was charged with multiple assaults, eventually agreeing to a plea deal that required no jail time or criminal record.
I just want to say I'm thankful to the DA and the judge for allowing me to move forward. I want to say to my friends, my family, my fans, thank you for the support.
Days later, it finally happened. After 23 months since last fighting for the UFC, McGregor will return. Not to face Mayweather, but to challenge unbeaten Khabib Nurmagomedov for the UFC lightweight title at UFC 229 on October the 6th in Las Vegas. Many are calling it potentially the biggest fight in UFC history, but it will not be close to what we saw 1 year ago. Yes, it's amazing a year has passed, and boxing and MMA have gone their separate ways. Perhaps they stay apart forever. Or perhaps Floyd and Conor give what some people desire and others dread, a sequel.